Hello, my name is Heléna Star and I'm live from the W London. Today I'm speaking to AYN to explore some challenges women are facing in the music industry and how she's forged her own path within it. This is a part of the continuing What She Said series, a partnership brought to you by Mixmag and W Hotels. Hello, AYN in Jordan at the W Amman. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Hey, Hélena, it's so nice to meet you.
So lovely to meet you too. And look at that skyline behind you. Oh my goodness.
It's amazing. Actually, we're up on the 30th floor. We're in the Wow Suite. And I mean, it's something else, to be honest.
Okay, so firstly, tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name is AYN, also known as AYN. I am Jordanian, born and raised in Jordan. I am a DJ and producer in electronic music, mainly techno. AYN has always been a part of AYN. Just took a bit of time for it to surface. And I'd say it's this alter ego, but it really isn't because it's been there my entire life.
When did you realize you wanted to start this as a career? Like you said, AYN was always a part of who you were, but when was that moment when you really went, yeah, this is the path I want to go down?
So it was towards the end of 2017, and I realized that music is a passion of mine. It's always been a passion of mine ever since I was a kid. Electronic music as well drew my attention growing up. My parents didn't really understand the kind of music I'd listen to. And things just honestly happened all of a sudden when I played at a private barbecue at home. And my friend had gotten one of Jordan's, honestly to me, he's one of the best producers I know. His name is Khalid Nimri. And he joined that party and I was just DJing for fun, you know. It was a barbecue. My friends actually got me like a proper speaker because they wanted to party. And one thing led to the other. And a week later, I was playing my first gig. And it's crazy looking back at it. I really don't know how things unfolded and how the universe kind of pushed me in that direction. And at first, actually, I had declined that gig. I didn't want to play publicly. It was more of something I wanted to share with my friends and family. And honestly, I wanted to avoid that confrontation that I had seen coming with my parents, you know, playing at a pub, being a female from Jordan. You know, they worry about that. But I, with the help of my friends, of course, and the encouragement that they gave me, I ended up telling my parents that they have nothing to worry about. I'm doing it for the love of music. I want to share this music with everyone. And today they're my biggest supporters, honestly. Like, it's crazy. I feel like I was meant to go down that path, you know?
That's amazing. And what are the messages you want to share through the music you make and the music you play when you DJ?
I want them to feel united despite their differences, despite where they come from, what their age is, what their gender is, you know. So music unites us. That's the message basically that I try to relay in my shows and my new releases.
That's a good place to talk about your next release, next chapter. Tell us a bit about that and how it came to be, featuring Yasmin D too.
Actually, Yasmin is my manager, and she's also one of my best friends since childhood. She's an artist herself. I've always been kind of pushing for her to share her voice with the world, because I mean, the love that you hear in her voice and is something that I believe needed to be out there. And eventually, 18 years later, actually 17 years later, is when we released our first single together. It's called Eye Contact. And a year after that, we went on to release the next chapter. And it was the result of quarantine, when everyone went into full lockdown. And it's full of messages of love and hope and empowerment, you know. We were feeling with everyone out there, you know, especially the ravers, so to speak, the awakened souls.
What stereotypes have you had to face so far as a woman in techno and being a DJ?
Being a techno DJ in the Arab world is somewhat of a new or a relatively rising notion. And people have actually paved the way for that in the past. Put being a woman aside, just being a techno DJ comes with its own stereotypes. You know, it's easier to ask what kind of stereotype is not, doesn't come up, unfortunately. They think we're crazy. They think we party too hard. I mean, who doesn't? You work hard, you play hard. It's okay. I mean, this is life, you know. But as a female, honestly, I haven't faced a stereotype other than maybe my parents being worried about me staying out late.
And how important is inclusion, diversity for the future of our societies and for equal opportunities?
We can't do anything on our own, really. Like, you can do to a certain extent. But what comes with diversity and with inclusion, you're bringing all of those collective experiences into something that can be that much better, you know? And that on its own will raise awareness. That on its own will raise awareness. And that to me is so important. There is no time for ignorance anymore. There's no excuse, actually. You have the internet, you have the tools at your disposal. And if there's something you don't understand, it's okay, just ask around, you know. People are more likely to give you the right kind of advice than not, especially nowadays, you know, because everything's out there and everyone just wants to help each other rise. That's how I see it, at least.
100%. And what do you think women and men can do to begin to readdress balance in our industry?
I would say share your experiences, speak up about what's not right and about what's right. Raise awareness as much as possible. Educate your children. Look them in the eye. Tell them they can be whatever they want to be, despite their race, their gender. And always try to inspire change. I would say that. Always try to inspire change.
Music is power.
This is a question which I feel like we could have a really, really long conversation of, but taking a moment for vulnerability and honesty, what's the biggest fear you've had to face as a woman in the industry, and how have you been able to overcome it or work through it?
I come from the school of thought that you can do anything you want. All it takes is hard work. If you yourself don't believe that you can do it, that's your biggest barrier. I'd say self-doubt would be the biggest challenge for me, you know. And honestly, there's something I wanted to pinpoint. It's being able to know your value and to say yes or no without any pressure. You know, because a lot of people might get offended when you say no, but it's okay. Like, you have your own kind of idea and vision. And to be able to get to that vision, sometimes you do have to say no. It's okay, and we do need to teach ourselves that a lot without feeling bad about it the next day or being pressured into saying yes.
And having that self-confidence that you were speaking about then, having the confidence to say...
Exactly. So having that, you have to train yourself to actually be more like that. That's how I found myself being able to say yes or no, you know, just kind of training myself.
And you mentioned this briefly, techno's ever-growing popularity picking up in Middle Eastern countries such as Jordan in recent years. How do you see the future of nightlife in and across the country?
So we've had a rave that used to happen in Wadi Rum. It went on for 8 years. You know, it was great. Like, for the scene here, people would go down to the desert to rave. But when that stopped, the smaller, I'd say, underground parties didn't stop. You know, so you'd get more exposure to the electronic scene through these parties, and we actually have a club here. It's one of the leading clubs in the region. It's called Cluster, And it opened the doors for that as well, you know, for people to come in to enjoy this kind of music. They'd have different nights, so they'd have electronic nights and they'd have like disco nights, you know. It doesn't matter. They just provided that space, that platform for people to go and to listen to whatever kind of music they like best.
I've definitely got to come over very soon. You're getting me excited.
Jordan, I absolutely love playing here as well because people have been so supportive. It's just, again, it's humbling, and I really want to just keep going forward with this.
And talking about Jordan, what are you most passionate about when it comes to Amman?
I definitely find myself missing the food here. I definitely find myself missing my parents and friends and my dogs. And I definitely find myself missing connecting with people here, you know?
And how would you like Middle Eastern creatives to be represented in the media? We need to see more of it, but how would you like to see more of that happening?
I want them to be represented for their artistry first, not for the stereotype that they're trying to break. Because the more we focus on those stereotypes, the more we're feeding into these stereotypes in a way, you know? It's all about energy. The universe works based on energy. So if we focus on their artistry first, and then on the other issues or challenges second, I believe that you'd find a lot of talented people from the region. You'd be surprised. I'm always surprised. Like, I'm constantly getting introduced to new talent here and in the region, and it makes me very happy.
Freedom.
What advice would you give to those young Arab women who are just starting out or thinking of getting into DJing or music production? How would you empower them to do so?
All right, so first I tell them to put themselves out there, never shy away from their artistry. It's okay to have self-doubt. You will overcome it. It's not easy. From experience, I find myself having less and less time for any vacations or even a weekend. I'm sure you understand, you know, it's like the work just keeps adding and adding, which is amazing. So you have to put in the time. Put your egos aside as well, and don't mind other people's egos. You don't need that kind of energy. I want them to reach out to me, of course, and I've actually had other creatives reach out to me for collaborations, and I'm expected to sit with them soon, hopefully. So that's my advice. Just go for it. Honestly, go for it.
That's good advice. Just get out there and do it.
And one more thing, actually, that I forgot to mention that I found helped me a lot with my experiences with music. Go out in the world more often. Expose yourself to different cultures. Expose yourself to different people. Lead your everyday life with an open mind.
How do you see yourself bridging the gap between your local and regional scene and the international techno scene?
It's actually quite fun because you get to introduce your culture to other cultures, whether from the West or the East, you know. But being a female DJ and producer in the techno-electronic scene, I want to bridge that gap and show them that you can do it as a female. You can share your culture. You don't need to hide behind any kind of patriarchal notion, so to speak, you know. So introducing them to my culture as a female, as an Arab, and something that they're familiar with, something that they usually listen to on their way to work sometimes, you know, is honestly like an honor for me.
Amazing. How wonderful to be a part of a generation pushing for that change that you speak of. So that's fantastic.
Yes, and hopefully we'll play together sometime soon, you and I. It would be amazing. I mean, it would be definitely an absolute pleasure of mine.
We will definitely make that happen.
I was checking out your Instagram yesterday, and honestly, like as soon as I hear you play, I automatically like go like.
The shoulders start moving.
Yeah. You know. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And if you could give yourself, your younger self, a message, what would that be?
To not to forget to have fun along the way, And it is a bit stressful. It's okay. Everything happens for a reason, you know. It's okay if life takes you on a detour sometimes that you weren't expecting. What if this detour takes you down a path that's full of like greenery and new people that you get to meet and explore life with? So embrace the detours. That's what I tell myself. Have more fun, and definitely music is the answer. Music is the answer. Rainier brought that back to life.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's a perfect place to finish. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Freedom.